Nearly lost ancient transformational information. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You may be familiar with the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto. He looked at water crystals that had intentional statements spoken to them to see how they formed under a microscope. This work revealed how our vibration and intention gets a response from the world around us, how our intentions impact other people, creatures, and our environment. Emoto's research also showed how directing spoken word phrases, some positive and some negative towards rice, changes its development. While the rice with negative words spoken toward it became ugly and overgrown with dark furry mold, the rice that had loving and kind words spoken to it remained fresh and pristine much longer than ordinary rice kept at the same temperature. So check out Emoto's research in the video Hidden Messages in Water. While Emoto's research was about humans' intentions towards water and rice, there are stimuli upon us that also create similar reactions of negative, positive, or dynamic transformational responses. This can be considered because we are like water, since we are on average about 60% water. Now, how human neurons respond like water and have double resonance. Our own inner dialogue, what we say out loud, and incoming intentions and messages, whether overt or covert, reverberates within us since we are made up of so much water. Another area of our resonance occurs through our neurological functioning that responds to frequencies and rhythms, as in music and sound patterns. So neurological resonance through entrainment. Entrainment is the process of making something have the same pattern or rhythm as something else. Brainwave entrainment is any practice that aims to cause brainwave frequencies to synchronize with the beats or rhythms of music, with natural body function or processes, and causes a response in our neural anatomy. The influence of the stimulus can lift or shift our consciousness. In using particular sounds and their patterns, like saying positive statements to water or rice, entrainment occurs within, which can be transformational. And speaking or hearing negative statements do not get the positive responses, but instead can cause stagnation and sometimes deterioration. Consider if a one-time exposure to a resonance pattern brings benefit. What about engaging in intentional listening that creates entrainment to transformation? Then, with repeated listening to the positive entraining stimulus, we deepen and expand. This deepening offers expansiveness in stimulating regions of our creative, insightful, intuitive, and problem-solving abilities, because these areas are accessed during listening to particular rhythms. Many cultures with less exposure to Westernization still use these repetitive sound patterns for aligning groups of listeners in their sacred ceremonies and healing with individuals. So knowledge alone will not suffice. About 50 years ago, human beings were thought to no longer be able to learn beyond the time our brain completed its growth, which was around the age of 18 or 20. Newer research reveals our brain continues to create new neurons and growth in response to learning. But how? It is through accessing these states of creativity, insight, intuition, and problem solving. So why are key states of creativity, insight, intuition, and problem solving highly valuable? Because it is now recognized these areas are of extreme value to a world culture that has to have innovation and thinking out of the box solutions to problems that cannot arise from the existing components that created them. As Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. There are now a few universities that are teaching creativity, problem-solving, insight, and intuition because they understand these abilities are precious, priceless, and necessary in cybersecurity, innovation, and the medical industry. Going beyond the status quo or having a vast amount of knowledge alone is not enough for our survival as humans and all creatures on Earth, but to heal the myriad of issues we're faced with, as well as going beyond this to thriving enjoyment and connection. But these states of creativity, problem solving, insight, and intuition are more than business solving tools to access or accelerate a growth economy and to move beyond the growth economy model. As discussed above, human beings are malleable. We can create new neurons and learn new things and ways of being. The characteristics of creativity, problem solving, insight, and intuition are not only states of consciousness, but also have a feeling connected with them. And as we develop and use these states, we have the ability to influence our health, wellness, enthusiasm, resilience, release stagnation, negativity, complacency, traumas, while building and expanding into positive and dynamically expansive ways. Considering we are entrainable, we can expose ourselves repeatedly to higher level entrainment where we lift ourselves out of old neuron firing patterns into expansive new connections that also heal trauma and develop resilience. Considering the scope of our entrainability, we have a long way to go, meaning we do not even know what we are capable of in terms of our expansive problem solving, creativity, intuitive, and insightful cultivation and abilities. This correlates with the newly discovered brainwaves of high gamma, epsilon, and lambda that are beyond the main five of beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma. High gamma, epsilon, and lambda are related to extraordinary states of consciousness in the highest states of meditation, deepest levels of insight, personal, original, creative problem solving, and high degrees of self-awareness. So how do we get to these higher levels? What accelerates us into accessing these amazing highest states that give us all these benefits? Individually and collectively, using entrainment helps to release and heal the generational traumas and oppressions we're sorting through. Entraining through particular sound patterns immediately begins subtle changes in our responses that contributes to healing from being a walking wounded person. Holding the intention towards ourselves, like the positive statements toward rice and water, occurs in the entrainment process because it begins to reprogram our brains. At first, we may not feel the passion or purpose with entrainment because it's subtle. However, continuing develops and deepens the neurological responses and pathways. So what are we entraining ourselves from and then to? Here are the main issues of our day. There are levels of stress, anxiety, depression, and isolation, as well as other mental health issues. Most, if not all, physical issues are also exacerbated by negative stress that can create secondary issues or cause the physical diagnosis to not improve or worsen. Other major issues are getting good sleep, pain, and dealing with normal life challenges we all face that cause stress. The grassroots movements are solutions to not only a system in crisis, but a culture in crisis, shining the light on other cultures' treatment of individuals who have an experience outside of the cultural norm has resulted in a movement. Phil Borges produced the film Crazy Wise, showing how people with these experiences are trained and valued by their respective culture because they are accessing other levels of consciousness. The spiritual awakening movement also offers other healthy responses than the Western approach of pathologicalizing or medicating. Additional organizations making significant contributions to changes are the Association for Near-Death Studies and even the work of Dr. Stephen Greer. What all these groups have in common is the recognition that when we access different brainwave states, we are shifting our perspective of reality that is essentially grander than the limitations of the Western view. Recognizing people who are accessing these states are invaluable for wise solutions beyond the brainwaves we all stay in most of the time right now. While the Crazy Wives movement moves on, there are more and more psychedelic assistance and microdosing offerings, whether in the country or out, legal or illegal, that are making significant inroads into expanding healing. Using entrainment to solve problems as another valuable ancient tradition leans into the benefits as they support our transition into the new paradigm. There are two different things happening at this time that are lifting us as individuals and collectively moving us. Entrainment is a powerful and potent method of listening to specific tones that carries us into a deep place of connecting within, of peace, releasing stress, negative thoughts, and cyclic thoughts, and connects us to our inner resilience, where positive hormones are released. Accessing our mystical selves of possibilities, an experience of inner creative flow energy is another component that guides our experiences in peacefulness as the cosmic energy enhances and evolves our receptivity, healing, understanding, and feeling good. But this is not only what's happening. So as we, as individuals, connect into this network of dynamic vibration, there is a resonance that is building across the planet of those who are also drawn to these significant changes that are transforming our collective as a culture. There is an interconnection within and resources building as an emergence of consciousness, healing traumas passed through time, rebuilding our responses and our nervous system, tapping into a greater field of energy and possibilities that offers solutions that have not been discovered before. Enhancing these creative processes are guided by our engagement in practices that are not one-time interventions, but are tools that continue to deepen and build our body, mind, emotions, and spirit, heightening our awareness and insight, creativity, sensitivity, and understanding, while deepening our inner relationship with our spirituality and connection with ourselves, with others, and Earth. Who is musical listening and entrainment for? If people with PTSD, depression, anxiety, pain, inability to get to sleep, and life's inevitable challenges get benefits from using entrainment and musical listening, is it even possible there are other people who could benefit? Well, yes. Beyond the connection with the same brainwave patterns, these same patterns also support and expand into the inner spiritual awakening journey. The same practices are reliable and offer guidance with continuous use because of their expansive nature into deeper brainwave patterns. And when people are looking for deeper insight with psychedelics, there's always a need to continue the benefits, to sustain their experience and not lose what was gleaned and gathered. Therefore, regular entrainment practices aid exploration and longevity of healing with psychedelics. So although humans are innately attracted to peak experiences, it is through daily, expansive, integrated practices that create the foundation that supports the gentle transition or the appearance of a sudden leap forward. Having reliable methods and tools that carry the listener into the numinous and mystical regularly changes us, because we are of a mystical nature and we are reconnecting to the mystical nature of the world that has been nearly completely lost through industrialization, separation from nature, and forgetting who we are. As referenced above with ecstatic states and developing creativity, insight, intuition, and problem solving, the same neural responses create patterns of responses that take the listener into deeper states. When we refine the intentions, as well as build and deepen our responses in these states, we go deeper, creating receptivity to wider, more satisfying, and deeper, more expansive discovery and development. Specific musical listening as an ancient practice is a guidance method that transcends limitations, that will develop more as we collectively dive into its expansive nature to discover even more. What if the statement, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, means when we access these advanced brainwave states through entrainment, it is us who is emerging as the teacher.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. It is your destiny calling to you and me, finding your way back home, awakening deep within your soul, deep within your soul. Occurs in radiation, inner navigation, new and familiar sensations. It is our true creation. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The possibilities emerge for you and me, seeking beyond the known, guidance forsworn from long ago, seeking the solutions, another revolution, living your contribution, souls in evolution. We are the ones